What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here today. Gem rate numbers for the month of January. Ladies and gentlemen, we like to encase things in plastic. A lot of things seem to be slowing down. Prices slowing down a little bit. People breaking wax maybe slowing down a little bit. Hobby positivity slowing down a little bit. You know what's not slowing down? People sending cards to grading companies. If you invested in plastic for trading cards, you are sitting on a gold mine. Crazy month. Again, record setting month for SGC, all time high at 157,000 cards. 28% increase month over month, 100% increase year over year. PSA 1.22 million stayed flat. I don't know this for sure. My sneaking suspicion is, having followed these numbers for years now, I'm willing to guess PSA's cap for output is around that 1.2 to 1.3 number. I have nothing to base that on, other than if they could put out more cards, I feel like they would, because they have the cards there to grade. They just got piles of cards from a January special. They did turn around very quickly. Now, as I've noted in many a video, they are running behind on autographs and older stuff. I don't want to say vintage because some of the stuff doesn't feel vintage, but older orders do seem to be running a little bit slower on some things, ultra modern specifically. They seem to be running very, very quick. CGC, big increase over last month. I should note here, I like to note when we see these big jumps like this, because sometimes they are not organic. CGC having a hell of a time in the comic book side of things. Go see my recent video on it. Swags, Atomic, Reggie, everyone's covered this thing. They have two massive scandals in a row going on the comic book side. I don't know if it's going to creep into the sports card side or not, but make yourself aware of that. But when we see these jumps like this, I am always curious. My belief here is this is a delayed jump from their appearance at, and I forget the name of the show. It was an extremely large show, I believe, in China. I think Kenny Fornos might have went to it. I think Dan the Cardman went to it, and I'm blanking on the acronym for it at the moment. But it was like a massive trade show over in Asia that CGC graded on site for. And I believe this is a delayed edition of those numbers to their report. We'll see what things look like next month. Remember, a couple months ago, they had a massive jump, and that was because they had partnered with a repacker for a large order. SGC, as we talked about, massive spike. Not surprised by this, because I've been hearing and we've been talking about it. People in the comments have been talking about it. A lot of chatter on their turnaround times being slower. Now, they're still pretty quick, but I believe their listed posted turnaround times are 10 business days, and they are basically bumping up against that. Whereas in the past, people were getting them back in 5. So it's not like we are in, the early days of 2020, 2021, where everyone had piles of backlogs. It's not like that, but they are running a little bit slower, and that's been an interesting talking point this week of PSA's speed with bulk orders compared to SGC's speed, because SGC's speed is, among other things, one of the things that they are known for. Now, I'll just address this very, very quickly here. I don't want to bog down this video with it. I will talk about it probably either Sunday or maybe a standalone video next week sometime. Yes, I saw the altered LeBron Exquisite RPA that they slabbed and then corrected. We'll talk about it. I've gotten some comments. Why haven't you done a video on it? I was planning on it, and then to be quite honest, the CGC nonsense happened. The PSA new pricing and stuff came out, and then the gem rate numbers came out. So it's just been a cavalcade of news the last few days to cover. So I have some thoughts that I definitely want to get out into the ether about that. If it doesn't become a standalone video next week, I'll just cover it tomorrow in the Sunday video. Beckett, good old Beckett, up 11%, basically sitting at that 50 to 60K number for a while now. Not much change there. Now, these are the overall numbers. Let's look at the individual breakdown. Sports, PSA stayed flat. SGC, big increase. Beckett, flat. CGC, massive increase. but still behind Beckett in the sports card category. TCG, another big bump up for SGC. That has been their biggest area of opportunity this year, is the TCG side of things. Beckett sees a bump in TCG. CGC sees a huge bump in TCG, but once again, remember, I think a lot of those numbers are coming from that card show they were at. PSA backtracks ever so slightly year over year, still way up in TCG. One other thing that I wanted to note really quickly, because I've been trying to keep an eye on this. We talked about this, I think, on last month's video. The Gemrate by era numbers. I'm always fascinated by these on a month-by-month basis. So this is the percentage of 10s or gem mint cards, depending on the grading scale, that the companies are handing out. And for the 2020s, for Ultra Modern, we see PSA. I'm going to focus strictly on sports cards here. PSA at just over 51%. Beckett at 42%, which is actually very surprising because it's usually easier to gem a card with Beckett because of the subgrades. SGC at 57%. I remember there was a time when people used to say SGC was the strictest, best. If you got a 10 from SGC, you knew it was a 10. And now they're grading, or grading cards in a gem mint format at a 57% clip compared to PSA's 51.5-ish. The one that, once again, the outlier here, I just don't understand if it's the types of cards they are getting or something to do with their grading. Gem rate on CGC Sports is at under 37%. Their TCG is in line, 57% on Ultra Modern there, almost identical to SGC's, a little lower than Beckett's, and a little lower than PSA. A lot lower than PSA is a lot lower than Beckett's. A lot of people send really high grade stuff to Beckett because they're shooting for Black Label and pristine 10s. But I just do not understand this number. This 36% number on sports makes no sense to me. If you've sent anything to them that you thought was like clean and good and it came back not what you expected, let me know in the comments down below. I just don't know a ton of people are sending sports cards off to them. Really quickly, I'm going to include it here. The Emergent graders, if you will. Arena Club, Tag, and HGA. It's just kind of been fun to kind of track these along. Sometimes I usually do this in a separate video. I'm just going to toss it in here because of the timing of everything. Arena Club, 11,600. That's their highest month in a while. I still don't understand who's grading with them. I don't really understand a lot about that platform. They are a black box mystery to me. Tag, 17,600. Back to that in a second. HGA, down to 1,000 cards. That's down from 1,200 last month. I don't know if they're going to crack below 1,000 cards or what. That would be wild. I wish no ill will on anybody. I just don't understand how they are going to hang around. Let's go back to Tag. Tag's had a very weird week. They announced the pricing changes. I did the video on it. They actually pivoted off those pricing changes and lowered them slightly. And now we get this crazy grading month out of them. What I've been told, what you could see on the pop report, and because Gemrate flagged this when we were discussing the numbers, he's like, something's weird here. They had almost a 12 to 13,000. I put 13,000, but it was like 12 to 13,000 pop jump in Pokemon. It seems to be, according to their Discord, just doing some nosing around, that it was maybe 1, 2, multiple, not 100% sure. They're a little cagey on it. Basically, a couple huge group submission orders for Pokemon. So, if you take that out, they're at about 4,600. I don't know what their cap is for capacity. We don't have a good idea on that yet. They have talked about running into capacity constraints, hence why they raised the price to kind of slow down orders a little bit. Now, they're spinning it as not a price increase. It's a price increase. They could spin it however they want. They could put it on paper however they want. Yes, you're getting slightly faster turnaround times, but if you want to send 5 cards in, you on a non-bulk order, it is more expensive today to send those 5 cards to Tag, especially for S, which is the 1,000-point scale, than it was a week ago. It's as simple as that. That's a price increase in my book. So they had this jump in Pokemon grading. Supposedly it was a lot of X, which is the 10-point scale. They're just so damn confusing. For a casual that is not in the tag hive, there's just a lot going on all over there all the time with the pricing and the two different service levels. Learn something from Beckett. Keep it simple. Part of Beckett's downfall over the last few years, trust me, there's a lot of things on that list. But as sad as it sounds, the complexity of Beckett's grading scale, I think people just didn't want to deal with. And the anecdotal evidence for that is the amount of times I have to explain it to people in comment sections when we would do like price comparison videos and talk about different grades and stuff. So 17,600. I don't know that is an air quote real number. Whenever these large group orders come in, or like when CGC partnered with the repack place, that's demand for the services, yes, but it feels like inorganic demand. So I'm very curious to see what February numbers look like for them. Are they back in line with that 5 to 7,000, or is it some crazy high number again? And we might not know. It might not be as easy to tell if they get another big order. This one was, you could kind of see it with when you're watching the pop reports daily, like Gemrate is, when all of a sudden, on one day you have like 1,000 cards graded in Pokemon, and then the next day you have 14,000 cards in Pokemon. Clearly, there's something going on there. But that's what's going on with Tag. So, this is where we currently sit. Current state of grading. PSA, still the king. CGC, on the TCG side, yeah, sports, the struggle has been a little bit real on them. And, like I said, on the comic book division, they have a lot of nonsense going on over there. SGC, very strong spot. Tons of demand. Like I said, we'll see what happens if the PSA turnaround times stay fast. Does that shift some cards back over PSA's way? And then Beckett. Oh, Beckett. I don't know what their place is in the current state of things outside of very niche based cards. It appears like we're starting to see. Let's just circle back to SGC for a second. Feels like we're getting close to their max output to maintain their 10-day turnaround times. So I would not expect any price adjustments on SGC anytime soon. Demand seems to be crazy there. It'll be interesting to see if they do anything for Topps Series 1. They've done a lot of Topps collaborations over the last year. Series 1 is coming. PSA just rolled out that baseball special at $16 a card, probably to try to entice some Series 1 to get there. It would be intriguing to see if SGC does anything similar or if they just stick with their current pricing. I don't see any major price shakeups, at least from PSA or SGC. I mean, PSA just rolled out all their stuff. I don't see that changing anytime soon. But I don't see SGC doing anything with just the amount of demand they have. They have no reason to. So that's all I got for you, boys and girls. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. If you have any interesting experiences with any of these companies recently, especially Beckett. Beckett's always the one I like to hear about because I just don't know anyone that uses them. They're like a black hole. Like just things disappear off into the ether, and then maybe one day they emerge from the other side in a Beckett slab. I don't know. That's all I got. Catch you boys and girls tomorrow for the weekly sports card market update. As you are watching this, hopefully I am roaming around the Washington, PA show. 400 tables this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I'm planning on going Saturday if everything goes according to plan, but who knows? Who knows? Sometimes life gets in the way. Catch you boys and girls in the next one. Peace.